YouTube, welcome back to LadyGi. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome. If you're brand new, thanks so much for checking this video out. Today we're going to be talking to the smaller grapplers in the room. I myself am a smaller grappler, and over the past few years since I was a white belt, I always started to question the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu. Things just weren't working for me, and there came a point in time where I was like, jiu-jitsu's flawed, it doesn't work, I'm too small, there's no way that somebody my size can control somebody who's a lot bigger. And then of course I met a very small person and they were manhandling people way bigger than them, and I was like, mind blown. Over the last few years, I've collected a number of anecdotes and advice from different people. Some were world champions, some were very accomplished in their jiu-jitsu career, and they've given me a lot of advice along the way, and I just wanted to pay it forward and give my viewers some advice. Maybe you're just starting off in jiu-jitsu, or maybe you see yourself as somebody very small and you're like, I don't really know if this is for me. Jiu-jitsu really is for everyone. It's just how you approach jiu-jitsu and how you make jiu-jitsu work for you is what you need to do in order to really get the full benefit of jiu-jitsu. So let's get straight into it. These are for the smaller grapplers in the room. And for the bigger grapplers, maybe you have a smaller grappler friend in your life who can use some of this advice. So definitely share this video. So let's get going. So early on in my jiu-jitsu journey, I was probably the smallest person in the room. Sometimes, a lot of the times, I was the only female in the room, and I always had to wait until there was somebody closer to my size in order to really feel the full effect of jiu-jitsu. And this was very frustrating for me because I was always getting swept, I was always getting tapped, as you do when you're a white belt, and I really started to get frustrated. And I learned throughout my journey of, going to seminars, talking to world champions, and talking to different accomplished jiu-jitsu players, was that I was approaching jiu-jitsu with the wrong attitude. So I always thought that because jiu-jitsu was created for the smaller people to defend against the larger people, then, why is it not working for me? What am I missing here? I started to really understand that I have to be a little bit more patient, a little bit more consistent, and I just have to allow the journey to run its course, right? So it's like you're taking medication. It's not going to work right away. There's going to be a grace period where it has to kick in, and when it does kick in, that's when you really start to feel the effects of that medication. And that's pretty much what jiu-jitsu is as well. It's just a very prolonged, delayed gratification type of sport where you really have to be patient. So the first piece of advice that I was given was that I need to be patient and I need to be more consistent. So when I reflected back to my jiu-jitsu schedule, was I being consistent enough? Was I being patient enough? Those are things that you need to kind of consider if you're really struggling with your jiu-jitsu journey. If you are the smallest person in the room, look at how consistent your training is. That's number one. Number two, one person told me that I should try to take the back, take the back, take the back. And that would be the most powerful position for me, because once you become a backpack on someone, it becomes really difficult and it puts that person at a huge disadvantage. So if you are a smaller grappler, try making the objective of your role to take the back. So you pass the guard, you go immediately to the back. If you're in side control, you take the back. If you're playing guard and you're on the bottom, you need to sweep and take the back. So try to strategize taking the back from every position that you normally play and put yourself in those positions so that you can start learning how to take the back from those positions. Number three, I was also told that I need to start rolling with the bigger belts to really kind of feel the effects of jiu-jitsu, but I also need to roll with the lower belts and use them as my own personal grappling dummy. So if there's a new white belt in the room, use that white belt for your own benefit and drill, 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 do different sweeps, do different combinations. This will help that white belt because now they're rolling with somebody who's a little bit more skilled, but it'll also help you to retain the information that you're learning, translate it to drilling, drill, 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 and then when you go into rolling, you'll already kind of know, your body will just kind of take over and you have already built that muscle memory. Obviously, it takes time, it takes weeks, months, hours to build that muscle memory, but use white belts as your own personal training dummy and use them to do techniques that you're really good at. Use them to do techniques that you're not really good at so that you can start practicing them. It's really hard to practice a new technique that you have in mind, something that you learned in class, and do it on somebody a lot bigger because they're so big that you might not be able to overpower them. So use the white belts for that reason. And then when you're training with the bigger belts, right, your objective should be taking the back, because from the back, then you have chokes, you have arm bars, you have a lot of different things that you can do from there. The next piece of advice I was given was get really good at guard retention. So one of the things that always replays in my head over and over and over again when I'm playing guard, because I am a guard player, is don't let them pass, don't let them pass, don't let them pass, over and over and over and over again in my head. I kid you not, that is what I do, and it really helps me stay focused on what they're doing, and it also allows me to force myself to get into a sweeping position or advance from that guard. So get really good at retaining your guard and using your guard. So a lot of people will just get into guard and they'll stay there, right? They'll get into closed guard and they'll stay there. Or they'll get into like a De La Hiva and they're not sweeping from there, or some kind of open guard type of position, and they'll just stay there forever. So if you're going to play guard, use it. And if you're getting your guard passed a lot, learn to try to get back to guard and retain your guard over and over and over again. The next piece of advice I was given was to use the speed that you have to your advantage. Smaller people are a lot faster than bigger people. Have you ever tried to hold a small person, like someone even smaller than me? Have you ever tried to hold them down? It's like trying to hold down like a grasshopper, because they're just hopping and they're just moving and vibrating everywhere, and it's really hard to hold them down. So if you have that, use your speed to your advantage and try to get into a position that will require your opponent to work extra harder. So if you're ever rolling with someone who's twice your size or 3 times your size, they move very, very slowly. And if you're the one who's kind of running around them, and not running around them, you're not supposed to be running around in jiu-jitsu, but if you're using your speed to your advantage and you're transitioning between different positions, you are going to keep your opponent on the defensive, and you're also going to tire them out a lot faster. If you've ever rolled with someone who's a higher belt, they normally wait until you advance to them, because they want you to play their game, but you need to make them play your game. So if you are the one who's making all these transitions, they have to deal with those transitions. So use your speed to your advantage and make them play your game. The next piece of advice that I was given was to use a guard that works for your body. Not all guards were created equally. Not all guards were created for every body type. There's going to be some guards depending on what your body type is. If you have longer limbs or shorter limbs, you have a smaller torso, or whatever it is, there's going to be a guard that works best for you. For me, I like doing things like De La Hiva and spider guard because I have the arms and legs for it. I have really long legs, and so that works best for me. So you have to find a guard that works really well for you and try to do that guard and try to retain that guard from different positions. The next piece of advice I was given was off the mats, make sure that you are improving your cardio. You can't only rely on jiu-jitsu, although a lot of people will say that the only way to improve your jiu-jitsu is to do more jiu-jitsu, but there's nothing wrong with doing resistance and cross training as well. So I recently started focusing more on my cardio, and the cardio that I started doing really improved my stamina in jiu-jitsu. I am lasting a lot longer. I am way faster. I'm not getting gassed out as much. So that really, really helps. And when you have an opponent that's a lot bigger than you, right, they get their grips and you're trying to break those grips, it's really, really exhausting. You're trying to pass their guard and you just can't do it. You need your cardio to be up so that you can deal and last longer in those positions. So I try to do about 150 minutes of cardio every week. So I try to do an hour of cardio three, four times a week. And that has really helped my jiu-jitsu dramatically. I saw changes right away, and it just gave me something else to look forward to. So I have my jiu-jitsu and then I have my cardio, and that really keeps a really good balance. The next piece of advice I was given was do not allow your partner to get a grip first. So if you're rolling with somebody who's twice your size, don't let them get a grip, because it's going to be really difficult for you to get rid of that grip, because now it's muscle against muscle. And for you to kind of muscle out of a grip by someone who's way bigger than you, it's going to take all of the energy out of you. So if you're a guard player, or if you're just starting a roll or a match, don't let the other person get a grip. You initiate the grip, make them play your game, make them try to get rid of your grip, and all the while you can work on your transitions. The next piece of advice I was given to me at a time when I was really having a lot of doubt in my jiu-jitsu, and I was really kind of doubting why things weren't working for me, and I would just get really bent out of shape about it, as you do sometimes as you move up the belt rank. And I was told something really profound that really stuck with me, and what I was told was that you have to look at every situation that you're put in as a problem. Don't look at it as I'm getting defeated and I'm getting beat and I lost, but look at it as a problem that you need to solve. And once you start seeing it as a problem, you'll be more eager and more motivated to find out the answer, work through that answer, and come back and fix it if it's not going the way that you want it to go. So once I started doing this, I really started to appreciate jiu-jitsu for what it was. It's a game. It's, yeah, you're rolling and you're trying to win a match and you're trying to win medals, right? That competitive aspect was just something that I was really focusing on, and it really started to really get to me as I started internalizing it. But once I started looking at jiu-jitsu as a problem that I needed to solve, and every roll and every time I got stuck as a problem, I started to look for answers, and I started to do more research, and I started to try different things, and then it became a little bit more fun. So if you're somebody who's really struggling with that, I encourage you to reevaluate your attitude towards jiu-jitsu and look at things from a different angle. So start reframing how you're looking at the problem. So it's like a math equation. There's an answer. You just got to figure out that answer through trial and error. And the next piece of advice I was given was to partner up with people who challenge you. So if you're constantly training with people that make you feel good about yourself because you're constantly beating them, you're never really going to be able to face challenges later on. So when you do get partnered up with somebody who's bigger and you're not really used to that type of training, it's because you've been playing it safe for too long. So if you have a little bit of fear and anxiety when you partner up with someone that you haven't really trained with, or maybe their body size isn't really the type of person that you normally train with, that's actually a good thing. So you want to feel that little bit of fear because it'll drive you to look and analyze your jiu-jitsu and make improvements, because your jiu-jitsu is what I was told. This is another piece of advice, is that it's going to thrive when you feel most challenged. And the days that you don't want to do it are the days that count the most. The times that you really want to quit are the times that are really going to matter most. So if there are a group of people that you don't normally partner up with because they kind of scare you, obviously within reason, if they're like the white belt spazzes in the room, obviously maybe not train with them because you know that you're going to get injured. But if there are other people that you trust and you're just not really comfortable training with them because they're at a way higher level than you, and maybe they do jiu-jitsu moves that you don't really know how to deal with, those are the type of people that you want to start partnering up with, because now you're going to feel a little bit more challenged. So still use the white belts and, you know, the people that you're very comfortable training with to drill with, but you still want to make sure that you're partnering up with people that are going to challenge you and that cause that little bit of fear and anxiety in you, because you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I feel like I need to put that on a t-shirt because I say that so much. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you in your jiu-jitsu journey. I always do a lot of research and talk to different people, and fortunately for me, I am in a huge place of privilege. My husband is a black belt, so every time I'm feeling down about my jiu-jitsu, I just go to him and he really tries to pump me up and make me feel a lot better. Doesn't always do it in the nicest of ways, but sometimes you need to hear it in a more harsher tone, right? Sometimes you just need someone to lay down the law and say, look, this is jiu-jitsu. This is what it's about. Yes, you're going to make mistakes. Yes, it's going to suck 90% of the time. Yes, your drive home is going to suck and you're going to feel awful about yourself, but that is what jiu-jitsu is. There's always going to be ebbs and flows in your jiu-jitsu journey. It's never going to be linear. It's always going to be going up and down, up and down. So I hope you found some solace in some of these anecdotes, and you will catch me in my next video. Bye.